I get asked a lot of questions about iridology, especially from practitioners wondering how this works in a clinical setting. So I thought I would take some time today to answer one of those questions, and that is very specifically, how does using iridology with my clients help me in my practice? So just before I answer that, I just want to introduce myself a bit. My name is Judith Cobb. I'm a master herbalist, a natural nutrition clinical practitioner, and a certified comprehensive iridology instructor. I have had 3 different Jensenian iridology instructors back in the 1980s. I've had 3 different constitutional iridology instructors in the 1990s and coming forward, and I've had 1 Rayid instructor as well. So I've got a big background in iridology. And by the way, I've been in practice for 40 years. So how does using iridology with my clients help me in my practice? Well, the first thing it does is it completely eliminates the need for an intake form, because it actually guides the type of questions I'm going to ask. My client comes in, they do an informed consent release, and then I ask them what they'd like my help with. And then when I understand what's on their list of desired outcomes, that's when I look at their eyes. And the eyes then help to guide me as to what questions I need to ask to get the information I need to create a program for them. The iridology, constitutional iridology, also helps me to create a really deep rapport with my clients really quickly. Instead of asking that shotgun pattern of all kinds of different questions that have no relevance to my particular client that I'm sitting with, I'm able to ask only questions that are very relevant. So that serves to create deep rapport, because the client gave me their desires list, and I am now using the eyes to ask questions that laser in on solutions for those issues they brought in. And that really makes my client feel like they've been heard. That's wonderful, because that being heard develops the rapport and really helps us to cut through the fluff. We can get through all of that extraneous bits of stuff and really cut to the chase and get the work done. This also allows me to be able to actually create my nutrition and my supplement programs right in my client sessions. So that saves my client time. They don't have to come back to get a report from me, because we're able to start right now in the very first session creating the framework for the diet and the supplements that my client is going to be using for the next 4 to 6 weeks before we need to tweak their program again. The other thing that constitutional iridology helps me with is it helps me to understand the language my client is going to understand. When we look at constitutional iridology, there are certain things that we see, and this is leaning a little bit, it draws a little bit on the emotional iridology or the Rayid, but it is included in the constitutional somewhat. And that helps me to understand if this is a person who is more of a tactile learner or a kinesthetic learner. Are they more of an auditory learner? Are they more of a visual learner? And I can then tailor how I present the information, how I even ask my questions, how I work with my client based on their particular learning style. That also helps the client then to get more out of our time together. So that's a little synopsis of how using iridology with my clients helps me in my practice.